Mahalo, Auntie Doreen. Appreciate you getting us started this evening. Aloha again, everyone. My name is Lily Makaila. I'm a planner with DHHL's planning office. Thank you so much for coming out this evening. We really appreciate your time. I'm going to be explaining a little bit about why we're all gathered this evening. I'll be talking hopefully only a little bit, and then we'll be turning it over to the presenters. Wanted to double check in the back. Can you guys see this? Okay. Can see clearly in the back? Okay, perfect. Mahalo. Do you mind? Okay, so our agenda this evening, mahalo to everyone for signing in. If you haven't had a chance to sign in, Jenna, raise your hand. Jenna is gonna come around and pester you folks. If you never signed in yet, she'll bring the sign-in sheet to you. We'd be very, very grateful if you would sign in. Jenna's also gonna bring around comment sheets. So folks who came up to the front to sign in, we had some pens, we had some comment sheets. So if you never get those, Jenna will be coming around to hassle everybody. And so she can help you folks with that. Oh, reminder to silence your phone. No, just kidding. You know, that's pretty impressive that you have reception over here, because my phone stopped working some ways over that way. Wanted to do quick introductions of the staff. I already introduced myself. Jenna, raise your hand again. So that's Jenna Domingo. She's a new planner with DHHL's planning office. She started in October of last year. Her primary kuleana is disaster mitigation, and one of her main projects is going to be starting a disaster mitigation and emergency response plan for statewide. We have high hopes that that will be something that all of our homesteaders can engage in, and that DHHL can help facilitate conversations with county, state, and federal, and all of our beneficiaries, so that we can, make plans when our nature brings us heavy rains and all kinds of other things. So that will be Jenna's kuleana as she gets going. She did just start though, so please don't scare her away. It took me a while to find someone. Also here this evening, in the front we have Cedric Duarte. He is our kāko'o. Thank you so much, Cedric. He's handling the audio-visual better than me, because I'm not the best at those things. Also, wanted to cover a couple housekeeping things. Then we're gonna jump into the presentations. Then we're gonna cover kind of next steps, take a short break, and then go into question, answer, and comments. We did this, the first meeting was in Waimea on Tuesday evening. The time from when we started to when we took a break was right about 1 hour. And then we took a 10-minute break, came back in. Folks who had to hele were able to hele. Folks who wanted to stay, ask questions, or give comments, we had lots of time for that. So we're gonna try to replicate that this evening. Also wanted to share, we are recording. We are recording this, and that's because not everybody can make it. We also recorded the Waimea one as well. We're gonna put both of those on the website. So any of your ohana or neighbors who are not able to come this evening, but might wanna see what the presentations were and the conversation, they'll be able to watch it online. We'll have it live next week. Try to get it up by Monday. Okay, let's jump to the next slide. And then wanted to share real quickly. So the purpose of tonight's meeting, we've asked you folks to come this evening because there was a land use request for uses on the Āina Mauna. I'm gonna let the applicants themselves explain what they're proposing and what's in their application proposal. But I did want to say the purpose of doing tonight's meeting is to give opportunity for the applicants to share their proposal to you folks directly. So it's not coming through the department. They have a chance to share it in their own words. Also to make sure to give our beneficiaries opportunity to ask questions or even provide comments on anything that you hear this evening or thoughts you might have about these types of land use requests. Also, we're gonna be doing a record of tonight's comments. So all of you folks that have a comment sheet, there are multiple ways you can give comments. You can write comments on the comment card, turn it into the staff at the end of the evening. There's also a QR code or a link on there that will take you to a Google form. If you like be fancy and do them online, you can do the online comment card. There's also an email address on there. And at the end of all the presentations, we'll put the contact information up real big too on here, so you folks will know how to get a hold of us. On the website, it has a phone number and an email that's there on the website. So especially for any of our kupuna who don't like to mess around with online stuffs, we can give you folks a phone number and you can call and give comments that way. The comment period is gonna be 30 days after this meeting, so no rush. Tonight, you're gonna be taking in lots of information, some of it very new information, things you might hear for the very first time. So don't feel pressured that you have to give all of your comments this evening. You'll have 30 days, all the way up to May 1st, that we'll be accepting comments. I also wanted to cover a couple things before we get started. Next slide. The record that we have, we're gonna be presenting to the commissioners. We don't have all of our commissioners at the meeting. We have our East Hawaii commissioner here this evening. He usually likes to go incognito with his hat on, so I won't make him stand up or anything like that. But for the Waimea one, both commissioners tuned into that meeting as well. But the rest of the commissioners, don't have the benefit of being here in person. So the planning office will be presenting a packet of all the comments received at the meetings and during the comment period, and that will go directly to the commissioners. So just wanted to share that for everybody. Next slide. So one of the things we'll be asking of folks this evening, part of what allowed us to go through both presentations, give them the time to share their proposed uses, was we asked folks to hold questions to the end. We'd be very grateful if you folks would do that as well. If you want to have extra paper, the comment cards, you're welcome to jot down any comments you have on there. And when we circle back to a question comment period, that's when you folks will have plenty of opportunity to ask your questions or share your mana'o. Next one is, we always ask folks, please be respectful, please show aloha, please speak kindly to each other. Us staff, we get paid to be here. We can take cracks, that's our kuleana, but I hate it when our beneficiaries, have a difference of opinion and feel frustration with each other. So I would love it if all of your frustrations were directed at me and not at each other and not at our applicants sharing their presentation this evening. Also wanted to share, please have an open mind. Like I said, lots of new information, some really technical things will be shared this evening. We're also gonna be taking the presentations and putting those on the website. So you'll be able to access those after as well. And then also, please agree to disagree. No decisions are gonna be made tonight. That's not what this evening is for. This evening is for sharing mana'o, taking in mana'o, having conversations, kuka. The only authority to make a decision and a determination on the proposed land uses rests with the Hawaiian Homes Commission. And they won't be making any decisions tonight either. So rest assured, don't feel rushed that you need to get your mana'o out or that you need to, share your mana'o in a rushed fashion. You'll have lots of time. We want to make sure that there's lots of time for you folks to think about things and then give your mana'o. Next. Okie dokie. So I think this is my last slide. There's a map here that I'm sure no one can see very clearly. For that, I apologize in advance. But that map, all those colors, depicts almost 56,000 acres of Hawaiian homelands inventory. So yes, my map isn't big enough, but also the Āina is huge. And it's hard to put it in a way so that everybody can see it in this type of fashion. So this map is taken from the Āina Mauna Legacy Plan. That one was adopted by the Hawaiian Homes Commission, I believe, in 2014. And then the two applicants that we have with us this evening, I'll allow both of them to introduce themselves, but we have Koa Kia'i as one of the hui, and the next is Waimea Nui Community Development Corporation. We also, for the location, we're talking about lands on the Āina Mauna. It's this section. So this little black squiggly line, that's the Maunakea Access Road. And then this red blob, that is what's called C1 in the Āina Mauna Legacy Plan, about 500 acres off Maunakea Access Road above, if you folks were up at the Alakupuna, right above, up towards the cattle guard and where the Humu'ula sheep station is located. Again, your applicants, the applicants will be sharing more about the location and what they propose. The proposed uses include things like stewardship, revenue generation, programming. Again, they're much better at sharing their mana'o than I am. So I'll leave the details to them. Next slide. Okay, we're gonna dive into presentations. Waimea Nui, do you folks mind getting started? Okay, I'm gonna grab, oh yay, thank you, Cedric. If you can grab, perfect.
Aloha ohana. Mike Hodson from Waimea Nui, Waimea Homestead. I've been the president of Waimea Homestead for the last 15 years, been on the board for about 20. So it's been decades of work. And my experience as far as is in law enforcement, 27 years in law enforcement. So I read laws very well. And so when I got tasked with taking over the homestead, I focused on the legal aspects of who we are as Native Hawaiians. And so I'm gonna cover some of that right now. Next. Oh, okay. So I think we all can agree that, you know, the past 100 years, well, 105 years now since Hawaiian homelands, that I think we all get family on a wait list. You know, we're no exception. We get family on a wait list. My kids on a wait list. So I think we all can agree that the department hasn't done a great job with 30,000 people still on the wait list. But that's not our kuleana, and that's not what I'm presenting tonight. Waimea Nui has focused on rehabilitation of our people. And in this rehabilitation process that people fail to understand, there's two major parts of rehabilitation. The first part of rehabilitation is the physical part of the rehabilitation of our people. And you know, as a policeman, as a detective, when you think rehabilitation, you're thinking like we either criminals or we drug addicts and we gotta get fixed. But in the terms of Prince Kohio, when he talked rehabilitation, he was talking about whereby we be accepted socially, we're free to practice our culture, we're educated, economically self-sufficient, and politically sovereign, to reestablish the kingdom. Bring us back to what we once were, a sovereign nation. And so I take that to heart as I'm moving forward. But in order to do so, you gotta understand there's actually two parts of rehabilitation. The first part is the physical, which is run by the Department of Hawaiian Homelands, to put the Hawaiians on the land with infrastructure, housing, ranching, farming. That's the kuleana of the Department of Hawaiian Homes as a mandate under the Admissions Act and the Hawaiian Homes Commission Act, which is part of our state constitution. The social part of rehabilitation, in the social, cultural, education, economic, and political parts, that kuleana is left to the Homestead Association. And there's a distinct difference between a Homestead Association and a Beneficiary Association. So I want to make that clear to you guys so you guys understand that. A Homestead Association is an organization of beneficiaries on the land that has a distinct purpose of why they're there, democratically elected, and then identify the territory of lands that they're representing. So that is a Homestead Association. A Beneficiary Association is an association that is representing the Native Hawaiians on the wait list. You guys understand the difference? So that's the difference between the two. So 43 CFR, next. 43 CFR 47.1 identifies a beneficiary organization, what I just explained. And then the two pillars of rehabilitation on the social part, that's the kuleana of the homesteads. The homestead's job is to organize towards the rehabilitation of your homestead. So I took that to heart, and when I became the president in 15 years ago, I said, on my own dime, 5 trips to Washington, D.C., meeting with Department of Interior, meeting with Department of Justice, to understand what is our role as Hawaiians. What are we supposed to be doing? You know, because our Hawaiians been fighting for sovereignty for forever. And it's amazing that we don't realize that there's 252 federal laws and rules that identify as Native Hawaiians as a sovereign people. We never lost our sovereignty. What we lost was the government representing our sovereignty. So when you understand that, then you can realize that why Kuhil set up the Hawaiian Homes Commission Act this way was for us region by region to establish self-governance through our rehabilitation process so that we can stand up the kingdom again. It makes sense. Okay, next. So under the Hawaiian Homes Commission Act 201.6, which is what they call a self-governance process, under 201.6, it says, it is the state's policy to support the participation in governance by promoting empowerment of democratically elected Hawaiian homestead community self-governance. The commission may establish a working relationship with democratically elected Hawaiian homestead communities, self-governing organizations to promote the community welfare. The organization and its leadership is bona fide representative body of the Native Hawaiian residents, homestead lessees, qualified successors residing within a homestead community. The organization is governed by free and fair elections, democratically elected. The organization demonstrates sufficient capacity to implement the authorities that are delegated. The commission may contract with the delegated authority to a Hawaiian homestead community self-governance organization to perform governmental service for homestead communities representing that homestead organization. Waimea Nui went through the process. In 2018, we did a constitution, we hired attorneys, spent 6 months meeting every week to build a constitution for our region, just our region. We're not looking for federal recognition, anything that way. But we wanted to govern our people the way our people wants to be governed. So we built the constitution. We had over 200 members ratify the constitution. We took that constitution and we submitted it in 2018 to the Secretary of the Department of Interior and registered as the first Homestead Beneficiary Association that came out. That rules came out on July 12, 2016 through beneficiary consultation throughout the state. And so we're the first one in to represent our people as a self-governing body. So I just want you to know that we understand the law, we understand the capacity, we understand our role. Our role is to malama o Āina and take care of our people, right? So that's basically who we are. Next. Next thing. So it's been a long journey for us. What we did was we took a 161-acre process of acres of our community lands, the Kepa. This is your community land. So we took our community lands. We went through the mill with the Department of Hawaiian Homes on getting our lands. To date, we spent a total of over $16 million just doing the infrastructure of our community land. So now we get 2 miles of road. We have electricity on that property. We subdivided into 13 parcels for community engagement. Our homestead has grown from one membership nonprofit organization. Now we have 9 different separate nonprofits. And those 9 separate nonprofits are kuleana based. We have a ranch division nonprofit. We have an ag division. We have a cultural division, economic development division, which I'm representing tonight. We have a health division. Our Native Health Center, if you guys went to Waimea, Kipuka Okeola, Koko, in the middle of town next to HPM, that is built and operated by Waimea Hawaiian Homestead Association. So we're the first Native Hawaiian homestead that built our own health center, totally 100% owned by our homestead. So we've made a lot of progress towards the purpose of rehabilitating our people and what Kuhio meant to do. So there's land divisions within our homestead that we identify different parcels. So next. Yeah, so we had this plan for the Mauna, and it started in 2009. And so I'm gonna bring up our Culture Division Chair, Micah Kamohoali'i, and he's gonna share the progress that we've made since 2009, and this is way before TMT, of our intentions of Malama in the Āina, which is in the slopes that where we live, our back door. Thank you.
Aloha kako. Let me introduce myself. I'm Kumu Micah Kamohoali'i. I come from Waimea. My ohana's been from Waimea from as far as I can recount. My grandparents, my grandfather was Woodrow Young. He comes from the Kamohoali'i clan, and they're from Waipio Valley, and connected to all the families in Waipio Valley. His mother's maiden name was Kamehameha, and they come from Waimea. And so my papa, my tutu man Young, married my tutu lady Kamehameha, and my papa them are all born. So my grandfather them are all Paniolo. They worked for Paka Ranch, and one part of the family was all kalo farmers down in Waipio Valley. My grandmother's side of the family, my tutu lady was a Opunui, and they were from Kohala and from Waipio Valley. And so all those lands is what I know growing up. That's all I know is the lands of Waimea. My family has, what I jokingly say in Waimea, humped everybody in town because it was so cold. So we bred everybody in town and related to everybody. And that's how it is when you're in a cold country. You have to stay warm somehow. So I'm related to everybody over there in the whole town. And I wanted to present to you about my lands. The lands of my community, the lands of my kupuna, the lands that I grew up on, as well as all the community of Waimea. When we talk about Āina Mauna, and you'll hear it tonight, Āina Mauna, I want you to keep in mind that the people of Waimea live in the Āina Mauna. We don't live by the ocean. We live up in the Kuahivis. We live in the Āina Mauna. The only thing we know is the Āina Mauna. We grow our plants in the Āina Mauna. We have our cattle in the Āina Mauna. My tutu man them had a 300-acre, or we have a 300-acre ranch. So we have pastoral lots in the Āina Mauna. So we were born and bred on this land. Let me try to read this. Today I'm presenting why the Maunakea Access Road lands should be placed into beneficiary-led stewardship through Waimea Hawaiian Homestead Association and the Waimea Nui Community Development Corporation. This is not simply about a road. It is about the gateway to a sacred mountain, the protection of cultural resources, and the restoration of Native Hawaiian kuleana in a place where Waimea families have maintained ancestral ties, practice, and responsibility for generations. Our proposal brings together stewardship, education, monitoring, and long-term sustainability, backed by a community organization that has already demonstrated capacity in planning, infrastructure, and beneficiary-driven development. So I want to show you some ancestral ties, or tell you about some ancestral ties. I could have bored you by giving you about 300 pages of the Old Hawaiian Language newspaper that says the stories of Waimea, or the stories of our backdrop. We live on the mountain, and how the families connect to the mountain, and how when the ali'is came, like Ka'ahumanu, or the ali'is came like Emma, when they came to go to the mountain, they wanted to go, particularly Ka'ahumanu wanted to see the body of Lilinoi. And so she was told that it was up there on the top of the mountain. So she came to Waimea and asked the families, can you take me up there to see the bodies of Lilinoi? Of course, the ohana that was there had hid the bodies before they came, but they came to Waimea to ask them. When Queen Emma came in 1881, because she wanted to go to Lake Wai'au, she stopped. She found some of the Lindsay family and said, can you please take me up to the mountain? So they went around Mana, they went up to Wahinekea, they passed all the pu'us, and they came up to where Wai'au is, and they went into the lake of Wai'au. So many, over and over again, these stories happen. There's many chants that talk about how the elements on the mountain, they affect directly the families that live in Waimea and the pastures that we have. The water that comes off the mountain greens our pastures where our cattle graze on, where we eat. It also is the water that goes down to become Waipio Valley, as well as it comes here to Hilo in Wailuku. Particularly this one chant talks about how the people live in the clouds. Yeah, I'm gonna do it for you. Huli ho Maunakea, hui tahau ke o tailia hanu, o poli ahulili noi ta hopo kane, ta puna wahi wai au ta mo olani, lalani te o kuka haula, o e kalani o la ta honua, haloko loko nei ta vai hatane, hanini Waimea ta vai puhau, wai hoi wai to e wai pi te anu, no wahine no mauna ya haka. The chant says, wherever I turn, it's cold. I'm here in the lands of Waimea. The water comes from the top of the mountain and it descends into Waimea and it makes everything around us cold. Wherever I turn, it's cold. That's the kind of environment I was grown up in. And that's the kind of things that this Āina Mauna is. So I'm telling you this why. Let's switch. Before I tell you that, let me tell you this. This is the zones of the mountain, and this is not just for Maunakea, this is for the whole island, every island, and this is a Hawaiian practice. So for every part of this island, from the top to the very bottom of the island, there is zones that there is. You have the very top, the Waulani. Things that are in the Waulani is like the Hekili and the Anuenue, the rainbows, the lightning, the wind, the birds that belong in the Anuenue, in the Waulani. You get to the top of the mountains, you get to the Wauakua, and that's where the gods dwell on the top of the mountains. If you look at Mauna Kea, there's a clear line where nothing above it grows. Nothing grows above it. That's the areas that nobody can breathe, and that's the Wauakua. That's what we fought for at TMT, because that is sacred land, and that's where our Akua dwell in that area. The Akuas there, Poliahu, they married into the Waimea families. The chief of Waimea, Kukahau'ula, had married Poliahu and the sister Lilinoi, and their offsprings are the descendants of Waimea that live there today. Right below the Waulani and the Wauakua, you hit the forest zones. You hit the Waunahele. These are different facets of the forest zones, the Waukele, the Wauma'ukele, the Waukoa, the Waula'au. They're all parts of the Waunahele. They're a big portion of the Waunahele. So this is where the trees grow, this is where the birds live, this is where things thrive, and water is filtered. Water comes from the top, it goes to this Waunahele, it filters through the Waunahele, and it comes out down into the Waukanaka. Below this is the Waukanaka. So this is where the people live. Yeah, this is an area that is suitable for people to live. Why? Because people make plenty opala. They do. You build a hale, here comes all the cars, here comes all the opala, here comes all the waste that you have to use the bathroom, here comes everything else. So to every place, things belong. Because Kanaka cannot be living in the Waunahele, they cannot be living in the Waulani, because all of that will be affected all the way down the Mauna till it pukas out into the ocean. So our kupuna said, this is where the Waukanaka live. And it goes all the way down to the ocean. You can get to the Kai Uli Uli or the Waukai, where the ocean things belong. And you shouldn't be building in the ocean because ocean people live over there. There's whales, there's things on the tide pools that live there and reside there. And if we impede onto other Wau, because only Kanaka impede on other Wau, yeah? Only us feel like we can build in the water and we can build in the sky and we can build in the forest and we can do all these things. What happens to the people that are living in this Wau? What happens to the manu that's in the Wau? What happens to the koa trees that's in the Wau? What happens to the ocean people? All the ocean animals that's there? What happens to them when we impede into places we don't belong, yeah? So this Waunahele is where this Maunakea Access Road is. This is the Waunahele. These are different zones. It goes with the Wau. But in this zone, we talk about Access Road, Halepohaku. Entry, monitoring, visitors orientation, safer access, and lower corridor stewardship. So in our plan, we want the opportunity to be able to steward our own lands. In 2009, I was going to school at UH Hilo for my master's degree. And so that was in archaeology. I took up archaeology because I wanted to save the lands that things were being built on. And so my degree kind of hoolied. It all turned because in 2009, I'm also a kumuhula. And so I led people to the mountain. My halau went to the mountain, and we did ceremony. And when we were up there, we witnessed injustice to our mountain. We literally saw tourists climbing the ahu that we were going to put the ho'okupu on. We were there going to put ho'okupu, and we saw everybody climbing it as they thought it was like a picture-taking spot. So we stood on the bottom, and our heart broke. In addition to that, we were trying to run up to tell them, get off of this. This is not what you think it is. This is an ahu. This is a temple that was created thousands of years ago, and we're here to do a ceremony. So I realized it's not their fault. There wasn't signage. There's nothing there on the mountain that says, this is old, don't step on it. There's nothing that showed what was sacred on the mountain. And the same year, you may have saw it on YouTube, there was people pissing in Wai'au Lake. Yeah, my family's picos is in that lake. People were pissing on the lake. They was riding boats on the lake and pulling things to the lake. There was all kinds of things happening in that year. And that was the catalyst that made me change my degree into archaeology to try and save the land that I knew as my backyard, or I know as my backyard. So I came up with a plan in my master's, and it was to turn Mauna Kea into, from the bottom to the top, to turn it into a Hawaiian national park. I wanted it to be a Hawaiian park run by Hawaiians. I didn't want the federal government to dictate what we can and cannot do on the mountain. I wanted Hawaiians that live in the beneficiaries that live in that area to be able to be empowered to malama their own land. I wanted them to come, and all the ranchers that's been there for generations to go and malama the land that's there, and all of their kids to become stewards and park rangers if you must, to go and malama from the top to the bottom. So I came up with a plan in 2009. I took it to our homestead association, and they said, let's submit it. Let's submit for the access road. Let's do it. It's 4 or 5 miles of the access road. We submitted the plan. Of course, it didn't go anywhere, and such as Hawaiian Homes. That's DHHL. But it also got fired back at us. So we submitted again. The administration changed. They lost the first 2 plans. So we submitted again, 2009, 2012. We also was told the lands of Mauna Kea now was pulled out of our region, and now it stood on its own. Yeah, and at the time, Jovi was the chairman. And so we had a meeting with her. She came, she asked for the whole details of our plans, all the economic engines that will help to fund this, because you can't just work up there for free. You have to have economic engines that will fund all the stewardship on the mountain so people can be there every day. So we gave her our entire plans. She came back and told us, these are great. DHHL is going to implement this into, we're going to make the plans happen. We'll do it, and we'll take whatever economics that is there. So I was mad because I said, this is my intellectual property. This is my master's. This is what I'm doing my schooling in. I got my degree in cultural heritage management to manage a heritage site. I'm like, I'm going to sue you. I was like, this is my intellectual property. Bring it on. Yeah, it sort of went that way. So it never happened. It didn't happen. They just sort of left it alone and said, we're not going to give them the land either. We applied again and again. This is 17 years later. I'm standing in front of you telling you that now we're reapplying for this land again. And now we're doing a beneficiary consultation. So our plan has been submitted one and another and over another. And somehow our lands got removed from our holdings, and now it belongs to the entire island. So I felt this way. I said, I would never tell somebody from Kona what to do for their lands. I would never go to Kona and say, I'm going to apply for hualalai, and I'm going to decide what I want to do with hualalai, and then maybe I'll share some of it with you. Or I would never come to Keaukaha to tell you what you should do with your resources in the ocean, or the people in Maku'u, or wherever it is on the island, because we know on this island, Koa Kia'i, that we have all of our places on the island, and we understand where we belong and where our kuleana is. And so for me, this is our kuleana. This is all we have. We don't have an ocean to malama. There's people down in the ocean that malama that. All we have is our pastoral lands, our Āina Mauna lands. That's all we have for us. And this is the only thing we can steward is our lands that's here. So if other people want to come to steward our lands, what does that say for us if we can't even take care of our own backyard? Yeah, if we can't, and we don't have the opportunity to take care of our backyard. So this goes into zones about us creating trail systems that are better so that people can walk the trails, learn about them, to take all the historical sites, put them down on paper, create a cultural center that's there so that people can come to the cultural center, learn the protocols of the mountain, learn how to ascend into the places that is considered Mount Olympus for us, the places that our gods dwell, and the oldness of what Waimea is, and the oldness of our mountain, and the oldness of our island where they dwell, and come and learn about them in these spaces, in these places. Zone 3 says high elevation cultural areas. That's what I'm talking about now. Summit VQ, so from the base of the mountain to the very top of the mountain, we're looking at stewardship at its best, from the top to the bottom, and around the mountain. Yeah, the old access roads to the mountain is through Mana. You have to go through Waimea, you go right around Mana, you make your way across Kahalelaumamane and up Wahinekea and up into the Levelani's of the mountain. Stewardship funding. The outline and application both propose an access fee model, so the road itself helps fund cultural monitoring, signage, staffing, youth development, and environmental protections. I talked about that. So those are some of our economic engines to fund these things that's on the mountains, to teach our own keiki, the ones that run in the Āina Mauna, teach our keiki about place, where they belong, sense of place, their genealogy and how they connect directly to this mountain, how they connect to the water sources of this mountain. We teach this in Waimea. If you come to our Hawaiian schools, this is what we imbue into our keiki, the importance of their land and where they belong and what they should kuleana. Education and visitors experience. The materials envision a cultural, educational, and resource center for visitors, culturally grounded programming at Cultural Center, the restoration of Humu'ula Sheep Station as a historic center, museum, and learning space. We have a plan to turn Humu'ula into a historic site. Of course, it's registered with Ship D, so you can't just knock these buildings down. So our plan is to turn it into a historic site and maybe even a museum and teach about it. And my papa used to work over there. My papa's father them used to work all over there in this area. So who better to tell a story than the descendants of the people who worked in this area? Homestead benefit. The proposal returns stewardship to the hands of Waimea homesteaders, the rightful caretakers of these lands, and creates real opportunities for our people to rise into the kuleana of our kupuna through jobs, training, cultural stewardship, and community-led management. It builds both economic opportunity and ancestral responsibility. That's a very important one. Yeah, that empowers our people and their ancestral responsibility to the place that they're living in, yeah, to their backyard, to the Āina Mauna. Our request, empower Waimea beneficiaries to protect the gateways to our Āina Mauna, grant WA and Waimea Nui CDC a beneficiary-led role over the Maunakea Access Road lands, allow phase 1 access management and stewardship infrastructure to move forward, reestablish partnerships around protocol, education, protection, and long-term care of this Āina Mauna. Let stewardship be shaped by the people whose relationship to this Mauna has never ended. Mahalo nui.
Hey, mahalo e kumu Micah, Kamohoali'i. Thank you so much for your presentation this evening. I'd like to dive right into the next one. We have Dr. Kalaniakea Wilson here with us this evening to present. What's your step up here? Can. And then I just said, he said we'll control the press.
E ia mai o vai u moko I kanaka vai e kamanaka I ke puali I mai kapa o mai moaula nui a kia naloa I maupuna naka I ko lau o kapulena ke hau. Na papa I hanau. My name is Kalaniakea Wilson, descended from Sky Father, Wakea. I'm here today because the assignment was to present a business plan in 20 minutes. So I'll try my best. But first, I have to acknowledge my teachers that came before me, which is Prince Kuhio, Uncle Louis Ha'o, Auntie Paula Kekahuna, Uncle Wali Ishibashi. They're not with us now. I've learned from them over the past 15 years, and they're the reason why I'm here, to carry their legacy forward. And the ones living today that supported Kepa and I's efforts is Vice President of Pi'i Honua Association, Uncle Ron Kodani, Uncle Pat, President of the Kupuna Association, Anakala Seto back there, of Ka'umana Association. Lawa'e now, she's the president of Maku'u Homestead Association. And Pana'eva, Papa Brown, we used to go see him a lot, learn from him a lot. And Kau'i, Alameda, Uncle Herc, and Uncle Kalua. I remember all the stories that you guys used to tell us from, I don't know, over a decade ago. So I hope I do you guys proud in our business plan for a specific parcel that's called C1 that's at the bottom. This is not a cultural management plan because, yeah. So I'm a waitlister. I've been waiting on the wait list for 2 decades, and we created this Hawaiian Humanitarian Alliance because currently there's 11,000 waitlisters on Hawaii Island, and we would like to put them on the land in their area from where they come from the 6 districts on the Big Island. And that's why we're requesting that everybody approve our business plan so that we can use the revenue to assist DHHL as much as possible to take waitlisters off the wait list and put them on the land as quick as possible. And we think we can do that faster, cheaper, more efficient, so you're not tied to a 30-year mortgage. So we'd just like the opportunity to do that as a waitlister organization, because we feel over the past decades, just hearing the pleas and the cries of the waitlisters, they're still dying, and the legislature isn't going to give enough money to DHHL to do the job that they need to do, which is $6 billion. But that was, I think, a few years ago. And as inflation goes up, they actually need more money. And I hope you guys all testified on HB 2049 so that the conveyance tax could provide annual funding to DHHL so they can start to reduce the list. But here we are, Maunakea, Sacred Mountain, Living Ancestor, presented by myself, Dr. Kalaniakea Wilson, Political Science, International Law, Federal Law, Hawaiian Kingdom Law, Indigenous Politics. So if you look up these guys, seedingchange.com, those are our global business partners. You can look them up. They're assisting us and partnering with us to help us put 11,000 waitlisters on the land, hopefully, to help us with the financial part, gaining capital, and the different ways we can use the revenues to get this done. Next. Mauna Kea is not a place, it's our ancestor. 133 years, this relationship was severed, sacred sites left unprotected, cultural practices disrupted. The purpose of this proposal is to create a regenerative economic restoration, returning the mountain to those who were born to care for it. This proposal is an act of living restoration for the Hawaiian people. Next. Kamehameha named, he had 22, 23 wives. So I bet majority of us descend from Kamehameha, or a lot of us do. And if you're not directly, you're probably cousins. So like I shared in Waimea Nui on Tuesday, aloha ohanas, we probably related. So our ancestor was anointed guardian of Lake Waiau by Kamehameha I. This is not a political claim, this is a spiritual lineage and a kuleana passed from generation to generation. DHHL is actively moving forward formal recognition of lineal descendants. This recognition gives Hawaiian Humanitarian Association exclusive priority standing for the lease. We are not outsiders applying. We are not newcomers. We are the ones who never left. We are waitlisters trying to help ourselves and help other waitlisters get on the land. Okay. So 133 years of dispossession, the court has spoken. 1893, war crimes begin, cultural genocide initiated. My grandparents got spanked. I was raised by my grandparents. They taught me how to speak Hawaiian. They're from Kukui Haile. Laulapa'o, Namea Apa'o. 2017 June, all Hawaiian Homestead Association's presidents voted at the sheep station with the Masagatani administration to execute the Āina Mauna Legacy Program on Maunakea. In 2018, March 26, waitlisters, we erected Haleo Kuhio, counting the cars going up and down the road to collect data to hopefully execute this proposal that we're presenting today. March 27, 2018, the very next day, the state rushes to transfer illegally Maunakea Access Road to the Department of Transportation. 2020, Kalima ruling, state found breach of trust, 935 million settlement framework established, 300 million goes to Kalima case, and 600 million goes to DHHL. The legal path is clear, the moral path has always been clear, now we walk the path. The road belongs to us, the Supreme Court agrees. Kamohoali'i case 2024, Kalima case, Hawaiian Homes Commission Act. The state blatantly disregarded unambiguous requirements of the Hawaiian Homes Commission Act, quote, from the Hawaii Supreme Court in 2024. So our living design system actually part of it comes from my dissertation. Aina needs Kanaka and Kanaka needs Aina. I read 16,000 articles in Hawaiian language about Luakini. Luakini is our oldest social system. Hopefully my book will be coming out next year. I'm submitting it to the publishers. And there's actually 8 components of rehabilitation. Physical, social, cultural, economic, biological, political, religious, and moral. So when we have all of these components of rehabilitation working at once, then we arrive to what used to be what I call Luakini village social system. But we need all of those components to begin at once. We cannot just have just the land. We cannot just have just counseling. We need the whole entirety of holistic rehabilitation to heal all of the parts that was damaged for over a century. So Aina needs Kanaka, and Kanaka, we need the Aina. We need to work the Aina. So we have actually submitted another plan called the Luakini Village that we're looking at other lands that's designated Crown and government to hopefully facilitate our rehabilitation of waitlister families. So yeah, there's invasive species spread everywhere. Sacred sites need to be cared for. The forest waits in fragments. We need to restore those forests, watersheds, biodiversity returns, culture lived, not preserved, community engages as caretakers, not bystanders, economy aligned with life, generating value by restoring it. The vision is simple and ancient: restore the forests, honor the sacred, reweave people and place. When the land heals, the people heal. And when the people heal, the land remembers how to live again. Next. This is our 501c3. Myself, Kepa, we are the founding stewards representing waitlisters for over a decade. Our governance model is grounded in the Luakini system of intelligence. And we presented parts of these programs, Maunakea program and Luakini Village, to Trustee Dan Ahuna, the governor's office, the mayor's office, all of the East Hawaii Homestead Associations, the Royal Order of Hawaii, all districts, to see if we can move this forward. And they said, continue on, and that's why we're here now today. Okay, next. So we identified 3 major drivers that will make everything possible. So one is access and steward management. With all of the vehicles that we were counting going up and down the Maunakea Access Road, if we contribute a stewardship fee to ensure safety, cultural education, protection, and caring for the land, we project $3.5 million a year from parking and access management alone. And that model is modeled after the Āina model on Kauai that's been running since 2019, 2020, I believe. So what they did was they charge access to tourists, not the locals, and then they use the money to steward the coastline, the fisheries, the forests, and that's how they're able to fund in a circular economy, a regenerative economy, to fund the different jobs and the different kuleana and responsibilities to care for the Āina properly. So that's what we're seeking to do, is generate funding and revenue, keep it in the area, but to fund the different parts because Mauna Kea is gigantic. So the second driver will be cultural tourist opportunities of the ecosystem. So we identified walking tours, astronomy tours, cultural tours, biking, and maybe bring back ranching with horseback tours, koa reforestation experiences, and we want to structure and operate these and sublease these to Native Hawaiian operators and Native Hawaiians that want to encourage, we would like to encourage Native Hawaiian entities, the entire island, especially if you have a nonprofit and you've been doing the work, we want everyone to apply and sublease these different parts so that you guys can take a different part, because Mauna Kea is too big just for us to take care of. Yep, we want to ensure direct Native Hawaiian participation in place-based regenerative tourism that restores economic access that has been historically, that we have been historically excluded from. So for example, right now there's no Native Hawaiian tour company that takes visitors up to the top, the summit of Mauna Kea. We need to change that. Our third driver is conservation and partnership revenue. So on the conservation side, invasive species management contracts with Koa reforestation can earn carbon initiatives and carbon credits. And we can provide and contract formal stewardship agreements with different institutions, operators currently using and benefiting from these lands. And also the University of Hawaii, I think yesterday, between the times of 6 and 8 o'clock, there was almost 30 University of Hawaii vehicles going up. Okay, so, back. So with the 3 drivers, we identified 3 different benefits that the community will benefit from. Carbon credit partnerships, Native Hawaiians, hopefully we'll be operating every single part, and we're projected to earn $3.5 million just by having a toll booth and parking lot. Okay. So this is our sacred responsibility, and our proposal is to produce economic self-sufficiency that have 2 main parts, which is part of a political economy where we can start to create jobs, have economic impact, and create community resilience by building ecosystems of native and locally owned regenerative businesses. And a large part of the funding would like to start to utilize to build a housing pipeline for the 11,000 waitlisters that's currently on the wait list on Hawaii Island. So this is not a business that happens to care about culture. This is a culture that has built an ecosystem of business to protect itself and to house waitlisters. Next. So we identify four different categories where Koa Kia'i, Hawaiian Humanitarian Alliance, is the root system of the Koa tree, which will manage the toll booth, parking lot, and bathrooms, because the only bathroom that's close is the Maunakea State Park, which is a few miles away and 9,000-foot elevation. But before people take cars up, and this is from Wali Ishibashi, I believe, is having a washing station at the bottom so that cars and vehicles and shoes won't be taking invasive species past the bottom of the road. We also want to make a playground for the keiki and a workout area and a gift shop to encourage more revenue sharing with the other businesses and nonprofits that we can hopefully fund also. So the for-profit sublease are the branches of the tree, and we're thinking of subleasing to walking tours, biking tours, horseback tours, astronomy and cultural tours, having eco-restoration tours where tourists now, they like to get hands-on. So remove gorse and plant koa trees and GPS the thing. So when they go back home to wherever they're from, they can continue and follow the growth of their koa tree. We want to regenerate the forest and agriculture, so there's opportunities for ag to grow iliahi, koa, apples, peaches, and pears. And then we have the canopy, which is the nonprofit sublease part. So this part eats up money. That's the part that's going to need to be funded, which is security, ungulate management, gorse removal, invasive species control, cultural and education monitoring, and the koa and iliahi reforestation. And the next one is joint ventures. So there's ways that the koa and iliahi reforestation can make money is when you integrate it with the tourist experience to remove gorse, to plant koa, and have that a part of a tourist experience. So we want to have these three different areas: joint venture, nonprofit sublease, and for-profit subleases to generate economic self-sufficiency for Native Hawaiians on Mauna Kea. Okay. So year 1 to 2, building out the foundation. Our partners estimate it'll be $500,000 to create a toll booth and a parking space, another $500,000 for the bathrooms and washing stations, $250,000 for a food truck gift shop, and that's just year 1 operations. That's the first phase. And the revenue streams are projected above $1.75 million, year 2, $2.5 to $3.5 million. Ha'ena, currently, their annual revenue stream is $7 million. We hope to get to that someday. And we actually have an advantage, a startup cost advantage. Several phase 1 costs are offset through existing relational capital, community contributions of resources and manpower, and a broad base of organizational support. We have a lot of construction Ohana friends that already pledged support, and they're D9s. So our system is actually quicker than a Western style system of startup capital, because we're utilizing our relationships and community to chip in-kind donations for a lot of components. And then on the back end, we'll pay for their services as best as we can. So our funding sources, the number one, our business partners has already facilitated in many states around the country, is the Grant and Aid. Trustee Danahuna says OHA grant will be available if we receive this lease hopefully DHHL grants, state and federal funding, private donors, community capital, and in-kind services. And our business partners have a global partnership with nonprofits around the world to help assist where we're going to need assistance. So the Āina model is our proof of concept. Mahalo. Reciprocal relationships replaces extractive tourism. So for too long, tourism in Hawaii has been extractive to where they want to just take every single dollar out of you, but they forget the spiritual, cultural, and the meaningful parts of Hawaii that needs to be shared and that they need to learn instead of just taking their money and then being extractive in that way. So we look to restore and expand more native Hawaiian tour operators. There's 13 telescopes, and they invest right now approximately $3.9 billion a year. And those are from those different countries: Japan, India, Canada, US, UK, South Korea, Taiwan, Argentina, Brazil, Chile, and I'm sure they would want to chip in and help house the waitlisters also. DOD Pohakuloa, right across the street, 300,000 acres. Right now, University of Hawaii, Maunakea Management is in the house over here. So, mahalo. Three Mountain Alliance is already up there, and Maunakea Watershed and Kaniho Ranchers, they already create an existing ecosystem where we would like to partner with everyone and work as a team and as a ohana. Okay. So the deepest return on this investment for waitlisters to lead this charge is these 6 components. We can restore our cultural practices. We can honor our kupunas. We can have youth taking responsibility by giving them the opportunities to do everything that there is to do, reforest, restore native birds, all of that. Spiritual strength, when Hawaiian steward Mauna Kea, the disconnection that drives poverty and illness and despair begins to heal. We want to use the revenue to as a housing pipeline. The lease begins Hawaiian self-governance, Hawaii Island, a model for every community waiting for their moment. A people who can care for their sacred mountain can care for themselves. This is how a nation heals. Next. Yes means 3,000 acres of sacred land under Hawaiian stewardship beginning this year. Yes means the first Native Hawaiian beneficiary owned toll booth and cultural center on Mauna Kea. And this may be the first lease provided to a waitlister beneficiary association. I don't think there is one to this day. This might be the first ever. So we would like one opportunity, the waitlisters, to lead something. Yeah. Yes means every tour guide on this mountain speaks Hawaiian. Every visitor learns the real name of what they are standing on. Every dollar spent here stays here. Yes means gorse removal begins, koa planting begins, our native birds return home. Yes means a governing pathway, a first step toward the promise of the Hawaiian Homes Commission Act. Yes means 11,000 families on the waiting list have a funding pathway toward the Āina, which they were already supposed to have. Yes means the Supreme Court ruling becomes real on the ground, not just on paper. There is no version of this where waiting for waitlisters makes sense. Many die already. On Tuesday, I had one auntie there. She's been waiting for 50 years. And I wish I could get the homestead associations to chip in to help DHHL to help reduce the list, because I heard just too much stories of waitlisters passing away and too much waited 20, 30, 40, 50 years on the wait list. I just have too many sad stories. I don't want to hear those stories. I want to do something about it and put waitlisters on the land. There is no stronger proposal, there is no better time, there is no more obvious choice. The only thing that has ever stood between Hawaiian people and this mountain is the willingness to say yes loudly enough, clearly enough, with enough conviction that it cannot be ignored. We are saying it now, and we are ready for the answer to be yes. Maunakea has been waiting for us. We have been waiting for this moment. The wait is over. Today, let's make it real by standing together, 11,000 waitlisters off this list and on the land around Hawaii Island, not just over here on Mauna Kea, but we would like to assist the department to put waitlisters on Mauna Kea also. Kepa.
Aloha kako, aloha, keoka, hilo, and all the families that showed up tonight. Waimea nui for the awesome presentation, the many years of dedication, the structure that you guys shown, what you guys did for you guys' community. Can't say more. It's just inspirational to see all of this. As you guys can see, we have a lot in common with the cultural resource management and all of these components that we shared from both communities. It's a really exciting time to be alive. The department has managed to not aid the waitlisters for so many decades. They've always said that there should be only one winner. Well, tonight, like we showed Tuesday, there are going to be multiple winners. Our island is going to win. It's not going to be one or the other. If we win, just like all the support letters we got, you guys are all in this too. We're not cutting this up just for East and West or North and South. We're going to cut this up for everybody because this is the first time we're going to show the department how to share. Sharing is not a big policy of the department. They like to see dog fights, but there's no dog fight to see. The waitlisters have been proven to do these works. In 2018, I'd just like to just fill in a little bit about that. The reason why it's so important is in 2018, Dan Ohuna from the Office of Hawaiian Affairs came up to Mauna Kea with their issues that Āina is going through. And so they wanted to know more about the data collection and the safety hazards regarding the toilets and all of these non-parkies and invasive tourists that's coming over and urinating and just feces all over the places. We were invited to go down to Kauai, down Āina. We met with a few families, and basically this is when they had a hard time accessing their parcels because somehow the military was letting in tourists, and they were giving curfews to the lineal descendants. And so basically, by assisting, structuring, communicating, they ended up they got recontrol over their access points, and they ended up managing now what you see in Hāina. And I believe it was put on the OHA paper, Reclaiming Hāina. And so it shows a wide mechanism of how it works: cultural components, education components, environmental components, and of course lineal descendant driven. And so the proof of concept was met with some nays from the department, but there is no nays when there's a proven concept that has been working for over 5 to 6 years. And so of course we got backlash for these things, but since the Hāina Point and all of these community out or resources that was being successful, it's hard for the department to see this. But now that we have this thing going and the communities have signed off, it took a long time to get the governor and the mayor to see their fiduciary duties. And so just like he shared, yeah, we have family from Waipio, and it's Keli Opunui. I'm Ohana. Yeah, and it's just amazing that we all connecting and we want to make this drive because there has been leases given already. Yeah, Neil Hannem, right? They already have a 500 Koa restoration project going. Did they have to go through this process? No. Do I think they should go through this process? Yes. Anybody who wants a lease, anybody who wants to kokua, must come in front of the beneficiaries, the homesteaders, and produce these things and share these things, not just get awarded. And then all of a sudden we are hearing that now the waitlisters and the homesteaders have to fight it out. We're not going to fight it out. We have waited long enough, and the data that we collected over 2018 for the 365 days really differs from what the DLNR produced. And after this year, we're counting right now again. After this year, quarterly, we want to be continuing to how we did with Kilkaha and come in and give a little update about the data and the situation of what we're finding up in the mountain, and at least on the access road and DHHL parcels, alongside with Pu'uhuluhulu, because that's where a lot of tourists just come, they just use the bathroom, and they just carry on with their days, and usually we're left there to pick up the toilet papers and so forth. So it's been a long time coming, it's been a humbling time coming, and we're not asking to have this whole lease, and we actually want to be able to expand this and share these kind of issues and this revenues, which will generate everything for the communities that is in need. And I think now is the time. It hasn't happened, so we should be excited for something that's going to come down the pipeline. There's management all over these Rainbow Falls, Akaka Falls, all over, right? There's management everywhere. And so this is a perfect opportunity for the waitlisters to not just ask to get off the list, but to generate these revenues and get ourselves onto this land. And I think it's a perfect opportunity. It's the right timing. We're not begging. We're not going to wait. We've seen too many loved ones pass, and I think now is the best time ever to share. And we're excited to share with everybody, as there's all of those associations that need to have some kind of action so that their community can benefit towards self-governance and what we hope to strive for, which is the purpose 101 to self-determination and self-governance. The department and the DOI has been getting by on the no consultation for the waitlisters. So there's no, in good faith, that any of these projects truly had waitlisters commenting or even had a voice of standing. We are blended in with the associations and everybody else, so we don't really have a voice, and it's hard to detect who or how much waitlisters are going to benefit from this. The time is up. The waitlisters have been organizing. They're continuing to organizing. Just like on the mountain in 2018, we had many beneficiary waitlisters consultation every Sundays, somewhere between 60 and 80 people at the tent. And we had kupuna from every district. We had waitlisters. We had homestead associations. Āina Liloi guys came, there's so much people that came that was part of associations that came to listen to the waitlisters. And we kind of thank you guys enough, East Hawaii and the associations who have trusted us, allowed us to do what we have been doing since 2018 and to what the new count is going through. And we want to help everybody. We want to share everything. And even though we don't have everything, we still want to share the little that we can get with everybody. Mahalo for you guys' time, and I hope you guys enjoy the food. Make sure you guys clean them out, and then we'll get back to the presentation. Mahalo.
Mahalo. Mahalo nui Kepa. Ko'olulo mahalo nui. Ooh, right into the light. Dr. Kalaniakea Wilson. I did want to mahalo everyone for your time. Thank you so much to both huis for presenting this evening. Quick time check, Sid. Okay, it is 7:25. Perfect timing. There, 1 hour. Mahalo nui. At this time, we would love to take a short break. Folks have been sitting for an hour. Please grab some water from the front cooler. There's still food. Just like Kepa said, clean us out, please. And I'll bring them back. 10 minutes. We'll do 7:35. For anyone who wants to stay to ask questions or give comments. Mahalo anui.
Otter.ai, there's going to be a long break here, and then we'll come back for the rest of the meeting.
When the commission is on Hawaii Island, and that's scheduled in May. My deadline to have the report done is May 6th. So this gives me 5 days to take everyone's mana'o and put it into a report. It's kind of, it's going to be a little tight. But, so any request to extend this comment period, we will not be able to accept this time around. And so please expect to see a report of all of you folks' mana'o and comments that you share with our commissioners at the May 18 and 19 commission meetings on this island in Kona. So May 18 to 19 in Kona. Again, you can scan the QR code. It's also the same that's on the comment sheets, and that will take you to the online comment form. You're also welcome to visit the website. I'll do my very best by Monday to get the presentations and the meeting recordings from Waimea and from here, both up on there. I do have to say though, the Waimea one is gonna have video for sure, but this one, Keokaha fights me a little bit with the Wi-Fi, so we'll for sure have the audio recorded up there. We'll do our best to have everything else, but you'll at least be able to listen to a recording of the meeting. I'd like to dive into questions and comments at this time. I've had some folks ask me about how we're gonna do that. What I would love to do is, we have 2 microphones. We'll kind of have one with a staff person up here, and then the other one of us will kind of walk out. So if you have questions, we'll just raise your hand, we'll go in order, and we'll kind of go around to everybody. One other thing that came up that was mentioned, there are some folks who shared that they are not DHHL beneficiaries, neither waitlisters, nor are they homesteaders, but they did ask an opportunity to still be able to ask questions and comments, and shared that they would be willing to wait until after DHHL beneficiaries can express their mana'o, either questions and comments. So mahalo to folks for that. Without further ado, if you have a question you would like to share or ask, please raise your hand. We'll make our way around, and we'll ask either of the huis to answer those questions. Again, you're welcome to ask questions of me. No guarantees on the quality of the answers, but I will do my very best. Okay, any questions? Okay, right over here. You got it. Okay. Thank you, thank you.
Hi, aloha. Sorry that I'm just asking a general question. The PDF that was referenced in the invitation, I'm so sorry that I don't know this, but how does the PDF relate to the presentation today? The 2 presentations is one of my questions.
The PDF, the web page.
There was like a 200-something page PDF.
Āina Mauna Legacy Plan, PDF. Yeah. Okay, so Āina Mauna Legacy Plan is one of DHHL's plans. It's a program plan. It was, I believe, adopted by the Hawaiian Homes Commission in 2014. The Āina Mauna Legacy Plan talks about the different types of uses, and there was beneficiary consultation that was a part of the creation of that plan. There was a draft taken to commission, then it was finalized. It talks about different types of uses. The interesting thing though is it doesn't necessarily suggest uses that are the same as like a DHHL land use designation. So it says like this area is suitable for pasture. Okay. This area is suitable for initial homesteading. Okay. But it doesn't do the extra step of like, does that mean pastoral homesteading? Does that mean agricultural homesteading? So in the narrative, it shares all the different options, but it just kind of took it to a broad point.
And this is the execution of that.
Both of these proposals are in
alignment with.
Yes.
Okay. When we're looking at charging people to enter or access the Maunakea Access Road, which is what I think was addressed, how will we verify our Hawaiian-ness so that we don't have to pay?
Ooh, that is a great question for the applicants. Who wants to go first? Dr. Kalaniakea. Oh, Uncle Mike. How do you verify Hawaiian-ness?
I'll be honest. Test. Okay, there you go. So our mentality on the homestead is that similar to the federal national parks, Hawaiians open the gate and go. We're not looking at taking money from our people. We're trying to benefit our people. Malama da Āina. So there's a lot of Hawaiians go up there. You ain't gonna pay. I ain't paying up there. I don't expect you to pay up there, right? So that's the mentality of our people.
Kakaopiha, I realize that some people don't even like to say it. They're like, oh, I don't like ask for free. I could just pay. So it's a little bit of a deterrent for some of us at even up in Kilauea. But I think I understand, and I'm really grateful for all of the work that's been done. It's a lot of good work and pono processes that are being addressed. Love you guys, nui loa. Mahalo for your good works. I'm gonna pass the mic.
As Hawaiians, what would you do? Charge out of Hawaiians? I think that's kind of funny, because that's disrespectful. So I don't see charging our ohanas for our sacred site that we all share in. But from what I've seen over the past 10 years is when visitors come from Massachusetts, Wisconsin, California, Washington, they know nothing. They know nothing. So we hope we can take the opportunity to educate and introduce how special and sacred the Hawaiian race is for being here for over 4,000 years. We want to take that opportunity and have them pay for that service, and that funding will hopefully fund a housing pathway for waitlisters. Mahalo.
Mahalo. My name is U'ilani Mokeao. I'm from Ka'u. I now live in Keokaha on King Avenue. As a Native Hawaiian, I'm saddened by the competition between two Native Hawaiian organizations for the same location. And why do we have to fight each other all the time? And I find that Waimea Homestead has worked so hard all these years, and all of a sudden we have another organization, and I'm not from Waimea, I'm from Ka'u. We have another organization competing for the same grant. So I don't find it very Hawaiian to begin with, but it saddens me that two organizations like this has to compete with one another. Thank you.
Mahalo. Appreciate that, Mana'o. I see a question over here on this side. We're coming with the mic. Oh, if you don't mind, please, just to make sure everyone can hear. Please, please, I appreciate it. Thank you.
Aloha, aloha, my name is La'akea Hamilton. I am a leaseholder in Pane'epa Ag Lots. My question for the first proposal that I heard, and maybe I didn't understand, so correct me if I got it wrong, but that proposal seemed like it was for the Waimea people, excluding the whole. So I don't know if I got that right now, okay? Now for the second proposal, they both have good ideas, but how are we going to, I guess for me, it's like Maunakea, it's like we want to use it somewhat like what I'm getting, like Hanama Bay, like Waipio Valley. How are we going to make sure she's not overrun, that she is in check to where she can revitalize herself, yeah? When I hear nonprofit organizations from outside, so my question is, so what are they willing to give, and what do we need to give back, yeah? Because nothing's for free, yeah? And then another thing that I heard was, we figure it out as we go along. If we're going to invest that much money, or even that much time, we better figure it out before we stop. Yeah, not put the cart before the horse, yeah? And then we get stuck in first gear. Now when you say, the second proposal had stated about the wait list. So when you do all these things, of course you gotta put in, like everything, you gotta invest. So once you invest, then you gotta be able to have it keep on going. So you gotta give back in, right? So when is it gonna, or how long is it gonna take for the waitlisters to be able to get Āina to put their hale? So, you know, it's there's a lot of pukas. That's what I think. Yeah, there's a lot of pukas, because bottom line is the waitlisters, yeah? For me, it's like, hey, you know what? Let's give them raw land, you know, because no kalamai, we all, the main thing is getting our people on the land. We can dress it up as much as we like, but bottom line, that is what we want. We want our people to have land to call their own for generations to come. And like how Brada was saying, some kupunas they pass on. It's getting to the point where they're squeezing us out. You know, it went from 100% to be on the wait list, 50% to secure, to pass down. Then it was like, whoa, dwindling down, right? So we go from 50% for wait list, 25% for pass down. I don't know about you, or I don't know about you, but for me, lucky if I get what? I gotta have my children take applications from other people, from potential partners, so then that way they get 25%, so they can stay on the land after 4 generations of being on that land. So I think we're kind of attacking things a little bit backwards at the moment. You know, one of the things is get our people on the land. How long this is going to take before actually we're going to be able to put people on the land? I don't know if the Waimea one, the first one was all about Waimea. I don't know if it was serving other aha pua'as or what. But Mauka to Makai, we all exchange. We ask you for pua'a, you ask us for fish. We take care of one another. You know, so.
Okay, mahalo nui. I think there were a mix of questions and comments. I'd like to start with Waimea Nui folks to answer your first question about how does the proposal serve, who does it serve, Waimea Nui, and what does that look like if it serves beyond that. And then after that, I'd like to hop over to the other folks, try to get through those questions. Mahalo.
Okay, I'm gonna try to remember all your questions, sister, okay? Because that was a lot. You know, I old already. That's kind of hard to remember all that. So I'm gonna start with this. So in our homestead, Waimea Nui, we actually started this in 2009, 2011. In 2013, we had Koa Kia'i, all the presidents from all 17 homesteads on this island. We presented this to all 17 homesteads here in Hilo. And what we said was that we're going to set aside this presidents of the homestead are going to be an advisory committee. And then if there is profit, because this has to be if there is profit, there's no guarantee you're going to get profit. So if there was profit, we would set aside funding for all 17. But it had to be related to economic capacity. That was the difference. We never fund one part, because it's like giving fish. We don't give fish. We give you one fishing boat, right? So that was the mentality. So we had all 17 homestead presidents here. Uncle Pat was in the back. He was here when we said we're going to build an advisory committee, and with the profits, they advise us how we should get the money, but run by the CDC. And as far as the employment, the mentality was, you plenty guys up there in Mauna that claim to be cultural advisors, and we agree. So whatever we do, if it pertains to Malamada Aina, it has to do with the forestry or whatever we was going to do, we were going to bring the guys who would spend the time on the Mauna to protect them, and we will pay them for go do what they do. Right now they're doing it for free. Want to pay the Hawaiian for do what they do. That was the concept that back in 2013 when I addressed all the homesteads on this island. So we had a plan for that. And I'm not introducing the plan today, because when I had that plan, Hawaiian Homes leadership at that time decided that we're going to take them from you, thanks for sharing your plan, and now we're going to do them and cut you out. So that's why I don't share my plan tonight, because I puhiva with that already. Been there, done that. I'm not stupid enough to do them again. Okay? You learn one time, and I learned one time. The department stole the idea from us and took it away. And I'm not going to do that again. That's why we don't address what we're going to do. I've been down that path already. Did I answer those questions from my side? You get any more for me before I give up the mic? You get any more questions for me? Okay.
I get ohana from Kamohoali'i, Hamakua, Kukui Haile, Niuli'i Kohala. Kind of all same area, all the ohanas. But I also have plenty ohana on Maui, Oahu, Kauai. And the models that we bring to the table is experiencing Kanaka-run models across the archipelago to generate funding to fund nonprofits that can help rehabilitate and restore from the mountain to the sea. The best proof of concept is Haena. So we did our homework, and that's what we presented in October 23, 2025. And we counted all of the numbers going up and down the road, all of the tourist cars. On one low end, it's about 250. On the high end, some days, over 800. That's a lot of people passing the bottom of the road that comes from other countries that don't come from Hawaii. And kind of easy for tell the rental cars and the amounts of people. So watching in January, Rainbow Falls start charging parking. And that's Hawaiians too, that runs that program. If Hawaiians don't do them, somebody else can do them. So when I went to Washington for the conference, I seen one presentation for Maunakea, 500 acres. And that thing got passed. Boom. So I was like, oh, we can do that now. Because I remember Uncle Louis, Uncle Wally, my kupuna from over a century ago, taking on the kuleana to Malama. And these are the things that they wanted, and we're trying to live and fulfill their legacy to make them proud of us. Uncle Herring, Uncle Pat, Uncle Louis, learn from the kupuna, move forward with the knowledge, never forget, move forward. Like Sister said, we need the waitlisters on the land. We need Hawaiians on the land. So that's what we seek to do. Like Mike said, we never share that part of the plan that we got on standing ovation from the mayor. If we can get this one, our plan with the mayor will hopefully go through and we get 50 families on within the year or 2 years. And we hope once we can do that, we can replicate that on every part of the island to start putting waitlisters on the land. Because I don't like hear one other sad story. 20 years, 40 years, 50 years, 60 years, it's crazy numbers. We got to get them on the land immediately. And that's all we seek to do.
Funding, yes, funding. That question. We have identified different sources of funding to implement and get the funding going for the waitlisters, because that's what your concern was, is if we go on long, how long it's going to take. We give it a roughly 2 to 3 years, depending how fast our investors are excited and how fast we can get our things up and going. But we're looking at a time frame of 2 to 3 years to start getting revenue, to start putting in X amount, and maybe the department can tell other mechanisms of how we can work together to get it on. But we're going to identify at least 3 different ventures to go get that funding. And so it won't be taking 5 to 10 years to get this thing going. We have a lot of people waiting, a lot of people passing. They said 2 to 3, but we want to shoot for the 1 to 2. We don't want to, we don't have too much time for waste, but we have identified fundings, and we're not waiting for the department or anybody else to give us the fundings. We're very on it right now, and we have a lot of resources that are serious about how we're going to go about this 11,000 waitlisters.
Okay, one last comment.
That was a lot of questions. Okay. So, as I expressed in our presentation, there's 2 parts of rehabilitation. The first one is the physical part of rehabilitation. The physical is providing land, housing, ranching, farming, and putting a Hawaiian on the land. The second part of rehabilitation, the social part of rehabilitation, is the kuleana of the Hawaiian on the land. So that's the 2 separate parts of rehabilitation. So when you're talking about the wait list, and you're talking about circumventing the Department of Hawaiian Homes, the Department of Hawaiian Homes and the mandate of the Department of Hawaiian Homes and Hawaiian Homes Commission is to put the Hawaiian on the land in the physical part of rehabilitation. That's in the Constitution. That's in a federal law, in the Constitution. You cannot circumvent the Constitution. The kuleana is to the department and to the commission. Now, we're not happy that our Hawaiians are on a wait list. I agree with you, 100%. But if we want to change that, then we got to legislate the change, right? We got to go to our legislators. We need to change the Hawaii State Constitution to allow the beneficiaries to take land and go award them out. Good luck. Good luck. Because that's how it works. It's a Constitution mandate, right? I follow the law my entire life. I understand the law very well. Constitutional law is the department's mandate on a physical rehabilitation. In Article 12 of the Hawaii State Constitution, there are 4 areas. The first area is physical. Hawaiians on the land, housing, ranching, farming. Second area is loans to Hawaiians so that they can farm, ranch, and buy one house. The third area is rehabilitation. The fourth area is administrative and operation. Area 1 and Area 3 is both rehabilitation. The framers of the Constitution intentionally separated the physical and the social part of rehabilitation in 1 and 3. The number 1 is for the department. Number 3 is for the homesteader. When you get on the land, we don't live on fee simple land. And that's what I tell our people in Waimea. Just because you get homestead, that don't mean that's the end of it. Like, you get your land, you good. It's not fee simple land. There's a mandate for you being on the land. And the mandate is to build capacity towards our rehabilitation of all our people. Not just the 50%, even the 1%. So where it starts is from the homestead. We get us on the land, we organize our people, we build the capacity to include all our Hawaiians. That's the purpose of one homestead association. We have kuleana. And our kuleana is to build the capacity to include all Hawaiians, not just us. That is the kuleana of a homestead association.
Okay, I will come back to you. I do want, because she's been standing, so I'm going to go to the next one, and then I'll come right to you.
Aloha. Oh, aloha.
Aloha.
Maybe it's this mic that's a little soft. So I think I want to first echo what Anake said before she went ha'alele, that I find it very saddened, and I find it very unfortunate that we have to have 2 Hawaiian organizations, in a sense, competing for an opportunity to Āina. It's very unfortunate for the department to put us in that situation. I also feel supportive of our ohanas in Waimea, because just like our ohanas in Waimea, us from King's Landing submitted our plan for King's Landing before I was born. And after 46 years, our plan is finally being recognized. And in saying that, I also have to feel uncomfortable in saying that if I was put into the same situation, if somebody, when I was 15 years old, came in to King's Landing and wanted to propose a plan that was in opposition of the community and the village of King's Landing, I would be hurt. I would be greatly affected, because I would hope that as Hawaiians from the Āina, we all understand that we know our place the best. I know my King's Landing like the back of my hand. I know my villagers like the back of my hand. And I have communicated with my Āina from birth, and now I communicate with my keiki, with my Āina. So having that multi-generational ike and that multi-generational love for my Āina, I would hope that the rest of my Native Hawaiian community would recognize that I will always have the best interests of my Āina at heart. And saying that, I respect all Native Hawaiian communities. Waimea has the best interest for Waimea, Keokaha has the best interest for Keokaha, and I will always have the best interest for King's Landing. Mahalo.
Mahalo nui, mahalo ya'oi. I'm going to pass the mic over to Dr. Kalaniakea Wilson, but Kalamai, I do want to say something. You know, I am here wearing my DHHL hat, yeah, and I do want to acknowledge that it is a terrible thing that this is the process. We received that criticism on Tuesday. I am in agreement, and I would love to find a different process. And so I would also like to extend in the comment, I don't know what that looks like, but I would love to hear your mana'o on that as well. Not to detract from comments for both of the proposals, but if you have comments on how do we not do this type of thing again in the future as DHHL, as the ones who have created this position and put folks in it, I would be very grateful for any mana'o on how we can change. I do want to honor Dr. Kalaniakea Wilson and let him share his mana'o.
Hoi, lucky my ohana from Waimea also, yeah? Right, ohanas, we all, some of us get ohana from Waimea too, so thank you. But let's talk laws. Hawaiian Homes Commission Act 101, purpose, the main one, the first one. The Congress of the United States and the state of Hawaii declare that the policy of this act is to enable Native Hawaiians to return to their lands. That's what we're trying to do. The first sentence, that's what we're trying to do. In order to fully support self-sufficiency for Native Hawaiians and the self-determination, we determine. Too much Hawaiians died waiting on the list. Everybody's doing the best you can. Mahalo. Thank you very much, Homestead Associations, for helping waitlisters get on the land. We appreciate that. Thank you, DHHL. Thank you, State of Hawaii. Let the waitlisters have an opportunity to help you guys out, because too much is still dying and waiting for too long. Let us have one chance. We can have one chance. Please, pretty please. Going high.
Yes. So like how we, I guess people missed the first one that we went through. Yeah, we explained that, when people start saying we're going into somebody else's backyard. We just explained that our families come from this side. So when people start saying that, oh, you guys cannot go here, you guys cannot go there, we are accustomed to that. We've heard it many times, and we chose to stay quiet until it's the right time to share that we have families in these districts, in these mokus, in Moku Oke'awe. So when people start saying that, oh, ma'a to this person or that person or this, our lineage goes by many generations. And that's what we're sharing. Nobody's trespassing in nobody's land. Nobody's stealing and thieving from nobody. You guys don't see a thief here. You guys see waitlisters who are waiting, and we are not circumventing. Did people in Kahiki Nui circumvent? Did people backside Maha circumvent? I'm pretty sure had plenty of people waiting prior to that, right? Or no? Don't need to say more. I already know. So ain't nobody circumventing anything. Section 101, the purpose is what we believed, and we said we can find the money. Shall we wait for 100 years to find money when the state's fiscal is $32 to $36 billion? Is that what we were discussing tonight? because it seems like everybody just wants us to wait. So when we say we have a creative idea of a certain space to include everybody to get funding, I don't see it circumventing the system. That's the mentality that we're dealing with. When people start telling people that we are circumventing, we have so many villages, so many out there throughout this state that we can say circumventing. But we don't want to say circumventing. We want to say they were creative. We want to say they were bold. We want to say that they had vision. We want to say that they didn't wait. Is that a crime? Not according to the Section 101 for the purpose. And we don't want to go to any more other sections until that purpose is fulfilled. And if you guys so choose to walk past that purpose and continue on, it's fine. But for the waitlisters, we are not going to wait and go to the 206, 306, 411, and all of the numbers that come after the purpose. And so once again, Kako, we are Ohana. Nobody's circumventing. Our families are down in Waipio, yeah? So this is a generational thing that we're talking about. And sharing is the goal and is the outcome. And sorry that people missed the first meeting and we didn't properly have this conversation of who comes from where and genealogy ties. But since now you guys understand that we come from that same spot, like how we expressed to the Waimea Nui Ohana, we are Ohana. We just have to get reconnected again. And that's what we're talking about, is having the opportunity to not be 20 years is a life sentence already. I'm on 24. He's on 30. Auntie's at 50. Everybody's served multiple life terms. So if there's circumventing that needs to happen, I think the Purpose Section 101 lays out the foundation, how we can act accordingly and do what we must to get on. And like I said, I mahalo everybody who did the accelerations in Kahiki Nui, King's Landing, and all those families that went and not circumvent, but actually got it done. And you guys are the motivation of why we are doing what we're doing. It ain't circumventing. If the process is broken, then don't cry about it. Make it happen. And if that's not for you guys because you guys are good, it's all right. But for us and our keikis, we decide how Purpose 101 affects us and brings us to the front door. Mahalo.
Right here, Lily. Right here, Lily.
Okay. Can I, real quickly, so quick time check.
8:18.
8:18. Okay. One thing that I do want to do, because I think we're going to get a mix of questions and comments. So I would love for folks, please indicate if it's a question and if you would like a response from either of the folks. If you have comments, I think I want to ask both entities to let folks who share their comments not have a conversation about it, because I want folks to feel comfortable to express their comments, if that's okay. So we can go ahead to the next one.
Hello, my name is John McBride. No sound Hawaiian, eh? Camouflage. I go on homestead right over here, Kepa. Okay? This is going to be the third person they're going to ask you, Hawaiian Homes, the same question. Why are we putting two Hawaiians to compete? That mountain is a big mountain. You tell me no more room for two people up there. Cannot be. You show us one map, that mountain can cover 400 of us. And we will get two people, we no more room for two people on top of that mountain for come. And so this is what I don't like about Hawaiian Homes. You're supposed to be helping us, not making us compete. Yeah? I don't like the idea that we compete. America do that. We're supposed to be Hawaiians. We're supposed to be working together, help each other. We get plenty of room. Question is, why? To you, Hawaiian Homes. The other Hawaiian Homes been run away. I like ask you, they don't like this question, that's why. Hold, he make it. I like ask Hawaiian Homes, how come these two guys gotta compete? That's the question. I get one more after that.
Okay, sure. Okay, so this one's hard for me to answer because I really agree with you. And so I think part of the issue is The process, from my perspective, was designed not for beneficiary organizations. I feel like a process of having two businesses come up with a land disposition request to present and compete, that to me makes sense. To me, it does not make sense for that then to be applied to beneficiary organizations. I think the challenge is we have not created an alternative pathway for beneficiary organizations. We're asking them to follow the same pathway of everybody else, and I don't think that that's the best way to do it, and I would really like to work on changing that. And so I don't have a great answer as to why. I can share that mana'o, but I'm very much in agreement that we should not be asking our beneficiary organizations to follow the same pathway that we ask of for-profit or business ventures.
Okay. The reason why I asked was Wally Ishibashi was on commissioner, and that was what he was going against. Why are we making Hawaiians fight Hawaiians? We're not supposed to be doing that. Okay? Next question. When you guys been present, I saw one, and I could be wrong, but I'm going to try to ask. One was one proposal, and the other one looked like one business plan. I mean, I kind of want business person, so I can kind of see. Is that right? Was these two business plans, or was these two proposals?
So this process is for a land use request.
No, the presentation.
I understand. Okay. So land use request application is asking for a land disposition for a non-homesteading use. And so through that process, they have to fill out a bunch of information, including what's your proposal for the proposed use. And there are questions specific to if it's revenue generation, what is the kind of, but if it's construction, what's the budget and the projected timeline? If it's a proposed business with revenue generation, what does that look like? What's the ROI? What can be expected? And so they both filled out the land use request application, and they both provided their kind of proposals with that. The request of mine, and I'll be clear, it may be my fault for not giving more clear instructions. What I asked from them was to share their proposals in whatever format. And so the fact that they are not might not be an apples to apples, that probably does rest with me for not putting more bounds. I just put kind of an open kind of ask of them to share their proposal with beneficiaries.
Yeah, but I know that was a nice long answer. But all I wanted to know is, was this one proposal, and was this one business plan, or was this two proposals? To me, one I saw looked like was on one business plan. I like them answer.
Yeah, sure, Ken. Thank you.
Yeah, so when I went to the conference in Washington, Neil Hannes was presenting his Koa reforestation, 500 acres on Āina on Maunakea. In December, you can go look at the meeting video. They was approved 500 acres to plant Koa up there. I don't think that process, this process here, I don't know, I think they just started this one with us. But anyway, this is the process I guess they gave us. But we put in our plan October 23rd, 2025, before the month before they was approved. And it's a non-beneficiary entity, my understanding. So after we turned in ours in October, we found out another entity and put in their plan in November. I thought had some kind of privacy laws when you put in business plans and stuff. You cannot tell other people, hey, put in one plan. So there's a lot of funny things that happened. But that first meeting, October 23rd, was with Richard Holt, Linda Chin. And so at that time, they said turn in, well, for that meeting, they requested to turn in a business plan because the designated area on the Āina Mauna from the entire mountain, that circle right there is designated C1 or commercial 1. And that's the plan that was confirmed in 2009, the Āina Mauna Legacy. So we was just following that. And when I saw the other Koa reforestation going so fast, I was like, oh, might as well put one in too. So the one thing I can say about this administration more than any other is they're putting more Hawaiians on the land than I've ever seen. You know, so yeah, Kali Watson them. Maybe not everything is straight to the arrow and good, but I know that they're using a lot of money to put more Hawaiians on the land everywhere on every island. Mahalo. At least that's my experience. So that's why it's a business plan for us.
Mahalo for that. I did want to share one bit of mana'o also. So there was a meeting. I'm hesitant to bring it up because the meeting didn't end super well. But it happened on at Maunakea Rec Center, the rec area in the dining hall. It was an update to folks, beneficiaries, and homesteaders about kind of status update on programs on the Āina Mauna. And at that meeting, I did say to everybody that was there, because folks had shared that there had been multiple applications that had been submitted over the years, multiple plans and multiple proposals, and folks were sharing this mana'o about it being buried, it not being processed, them not getting responses, them just getting ghosted by the department. And at that meeting, I did share that any applications that come through planning office for comment, and I would ensure that there would be things not disappearing. I would do everything I could to do that. So this also may be my fault in opening Pandora's box of encouraging folks to put in their applications, that I would do everything I could, but I may have had unforeseen impacts. So kalamai for that. I did want to give Humo Micah a chance.
Mahalo, Uncle, for your question. And the answer is, our proposal is stewardship. So of course there's an economic part because you have to maintain stewardship, but the whole reason our proposal went in was because I went into archaeology school. And so it was about preserving and perpetuating and keeping Mauna Kea from the bottom to the top. And it was teaching protocols and having people understand what it means to be in sacred space. So our proposal is about stewardship by the families that are raised in Waimea, by the families that their genealogies come from there, not the ones that have genealogies from all over the place, the ones that are born and raised there for many, many generations. Yeah. So like, I have genealogy from all over the Pai'aina, but I wouldn't go and claim something in Molokai because I have genealogy there and tell them how to do it. Yeah, our landscape that's there, and the proposal came straight from the kupunas. When I saw what was happening, I said, what do we do? So we had a meeting, I brought it to the homestead, and the kupunas, who is born and raised in those pastures, said, we gotta malama it. We have to protect this mountain and all of it from the bottom to the top, because it's our backyard. That's where we live. We live on the Āina Mauna. How do we malama this? So our proposal is stewardship. Our proposal is putting our own people that live their whole lives on that mountain to steward their own backyards. Be able to go and talk about their Āina and their Mauna the way that they was raised their whole life, and to share about it. Of course, there has to be economics, because how are we going to sustain that? But that's not the forefront of our proposal. If we have to volunteer, that's what we do. We volunteer to make sure that we malama our Āina, because that's where we live.
It is very hard to be at fault for bringing our beneficiaries together, kalamai. But I'm seeing things getting tenser and tenser. and comments getting more and more personal. And it is my kuleana to steward this halavai this evening. And I'm really having a hard time because I don't want to continue to have things building and have them escalate. And so I really am going to ask everyone, please be careful about how we are speaking to each other. I feel so much more comfortable if you direct your ire and frustration and anger at me. I am so much more comfortable with that than I am watching this happen amongst each other. So please.
You don't need bribe. You don't need bribe for you doing the process. You are doing just the process you were told. But I did hear you say there may be a way. Why don't keep two guys? Why don't keep two guys? But it's a process we got to tell the department that it should be done. I don't want you to get into the situation that you take the jerk. You don't take the jerk. Please. Do not feel that you gotta take the jerk. And it's not necessary. The process that the state uses is putting all us in the same jerk. All of us. I get enough time with the department. Okay? And I'm not like, it's just because I get 82 years old. But I get enough time. So do not take the jerk. And we can solve this thing easily. And you need to be the one to find a way is to give two people the use of it. And we can move on with our lives. But I don't leave that to you. But I don't like to stay there.
Mahalo, go Pat. And
I'm going to pass it over to Seth.
Yeah. So, Seth, give Lily a hand. So, Lily gonna take a break. Cedric Duarte gonna jump in. So I saw a question here. I saw a question here. And then I want to see if anybody else had one. And right there. So we're gonna go 1, 2, 3. And then I'll come back 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. We'll go in 1, 2, 3, 4. Jenna, just hold them.
Aloha. My name is Lono Leota. I was born and raised in Ka'u, raised in Hilo, then Honoka'a, and then I moved to Kona because of work. But I just wanted to clarify. So, Āina Mauna Legacy, is it for non-homesteaders?
So your question is on the Āina Mauna Legacy Plan, is it for non-homesteaders? So the Āina Mauna Legacy Plan doesn't really discern that. It talks about the Aina and the different ways that it can be used and what our vision is it for the future.
Okay, yeah, because that's what Lily said, non-homesteaders. So I found it interesting. And then when Dr. Kalani had stated that it was for commercial use.
Non-homesteading is what she's non-homesteader. Non-homesteading purposes.
Yeah, so nobody can live on the land up there. You can steward the land.
That is what is in the Āina Mauna Legacy Plan at this time. Okay. But there are some parcels, I think, that if they were disposed in a commercial fashion, there could some conversion of residencies could happen. That's some of the things that's being pondered right now.
Okay, because it's vague as far as the purpose of that Āina Mauna legacy, right? Because he said it's commercial. She said it's non-homesteading. So how is it possible, I'm getting to the question, how is it possible that you could have homes on that land? I understand the ag part of it. I understand the stewardship part of it. But to tell the 11,000 waitlisters that they could possibly have on place, that's very deceiving.
Yeah, so I'm going to try my best to answer that question. So non-homesteading use can be commercial, can be industrial, can be agricultural, can be pastoral. if that land is disposed to a beneficiary organization, there could be a plan for some type of homesteading purposes. But I think the details would need to get a bit worked out. So the question we have today is, of the ideas that we've heard, which one feels most appealing? And in this QR code, in this survey, to Uncle Pat's point, there is a question to the beneficiary community. Do you want to see one, the other, or both? And that's in the survey.
Okay. Well, I totally agree commenting that with, as far as what Uncle Pat said, two organizations that are here tonight with their proposals, they could easily work together, building each other up. You know?
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, my name is Sunny.
I'll come to you after Uncle again. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then to you, Uncle.
Yeah.
Excuse me, sorry.
I grew up on Kepa lands on Lyman Street, and now I'm in Pu'ukapu in Waimea. To address Uncle Pat's issue, I think the primary reason, at least my perspective, the primary reason we're in this fix is because Kuhio died before he could implement the act. Because it was Kuhio's vision, driven by his auntie, Lili'u Kalani, who appointed him as a delegate. And so when I got in, I grew up on Hawaiian homes, thoroughly disappointed. I do believe that the current administration that we have now is doing all that it can to get waitlisters on Hawaiian homestead. The difficulty is we had so many, like brother over there said, we had so many years of misrepresentation, you name it. They turned over the act from the Department of Interior. They didn't want to deal with the act. Okay, so they turned it over to the territorial governor of Hawaii. And who was the territorial governor? The guys that were responsible for the overthrow. That's the reason why we're here tonight. And we're really not competing against each other. It's just two different presentations. The reason why I'm here tonight is because I'm thoroughly involved in the Waimea Nui project in Waimea. And one of the and again, it's just a comment. What we're doing, to me, is unprecedented in the history of homestead. Because some of you know it, most of you don't know it. Part of our vision with Waimea Nui is to actually implement what we believe Kuhio wanted, which is using community lands to build economic engines so that we can have an economic base to support Native Hawaiians, including getting them on the wait list. Tomorrow morning, we have a blessing and breaking ground for a comprehensive Native Hawaiian health clinic on Hawaiian homes land in Pu'ukapu. There is no, and the board is, we got 7 people on the board, 6 of them are beneficiaries. So it is beneficiary-driven economic engine that we're going to open tomorrow. And I think one of the difficulties that we're dealing with is we're having to process years of incompetent leadership and not blaming any certain administrations, but we're trying to peel out the stuff and getting back to what I believe what Kuhio wanted, and again, I know Kali guys are freaking out because of what we're doing in Waimea, and what we want is we want to be a template for the rest of the regions in the state of Hawaii. Okay, now if this is one of the ways, for me, I believe is one of the ways that we attack the problem of getting waitlisters on Hawaiian homestead lands. So again, just a comment.
Ready?
Hello. My name is Auntie. I have a farm lot, ag lot in Pu'ukapu. We grow asparagus. So I'm hearing a lot about the 11,000 taking people off the wait list, and that's with this community that I'm in. There's a lot of people, a lot of kupuna aunties. They're dying. They're not getting their awards in time. So what you plan to do sounds very good. I don't have a question, I have a scenario. So picture this, June 2026, after the decision was made, and it goes in their favor. And let's say that, so what's gonna happen is we have, let's see, Auntie Gail Fergustrom the other night, where she wasn't, she's been on the list for 52 plus years. So you get the bid goes this way, she gets a notice saying, Auntie, you're gonna have your land. She's so happy, she's buying beer for everybody, she's so happy. And then comes a time where, as we had asked Lily, they're gonna have to go and prepare leases. How do you create another brand new homestead? So she gets that done, paperwork, come up with a 99-year lease, do the tax key, do the surveying. Then in the meantime, Auntie's over there, she's gonna have to qualify for a loan. Will Koa Kia'i, will they help with the funding? And she's worried about that, because if she's maybe 60, 70, she may not qualify for the loan. She's still waiting though. She got her letter, but she's not in her house yet. So that goes by, and I had to make, so then you have the title's gonna go, everything's gonna start going, she's gonna wonder. Then maybe in your plan you have it where the Koa Kia'i will have enough credibility to become a primary lender in the state, because only Home Street, you can only go so many places to get the house. I'm trying to make a point where by the time she gets her funding and she qualifies, and wait, the infrastructure gotta go in, and heaven help you if they don't find UXOs there, she's still gonna be waiting for her property. It's gonna take 10, 15 years, and it's gonna take a while before she can get on her property. So you may have a faster way, and that would be nice, but realistically, we wait long time for all of the property. And one more thing, since the Hawaiian Homes, Department of Hawaiian Homes, they have millions, billions of dollars, I don't know the exact amount, they can't put these people on the land, but this group here, they feel they can with funding and support. That's all I have to say.
Yeah, answer. Okay.
Mahalo for the question, love it. That's why Dr. Kalaniakea, who's spent 10 years earning my PhD in international relations, built partnerships and international organizations that are willing, want to fund this humanitarian crisis of 30,000 waitlisters on the land. So that's an untapped resource that I bring to the table. And if you just go Google seedingchange.com, the director, Rick Corrado, his annual real estate that he makes from selling real estate is $10 billion. So we hope to bring those type of partners into assisting, supporting this humanitarian crisis of 30,000 waitlisters across the archipelago. We just want to focus on the first 11,000 here on this island, and understanding state law, federal law, international law, and Hawaiian Kingdom law is my expertise. And there's ways you can align all of the laws into one line to get us on the land quicker. If you present the certain court cases, and that's what we've done, and that's what we've been moving with at the governor's level, mayor's level, and the community level with community leaders in East Hawaii. I was born and raised in Kona. And when my grandmother, she would first start out in Keokaha, and then would go to all of her cousins, all of her sisters and brothers. She had 20. And so we traveled a lot. And I learned about all of our families from the entire island of Hawaii Island. And so I would like to be the vessel to serve, bring this expertise, bring this source of funding, bring this capital to help reduce the wait list. That's all we're asking for. Mahalo.
Go ahead, yeah, question right there.
Okay. I just want to talk about life a little in Hawaiians. I cannot get land. I don't have enough Hawaiian. Okay. My name is Stephen Anthony Kane'i Morse. My uncle was Stephen Kane'i Morse. He did the first landing on Kamohoali'i from this island. I used to come here when I was 15 years old in the 70s. Okay. My uncle was a social worker who would help kids, Hawaiian kids, from the Leokalani Trust that were very troubled. We used to go down and clean the church down in Kalapana, okay? I learned from him. He became one teacher at UH. He just passed away last year. If any of you guys type in first landing in Kamohoali'i, the first 9, I think 7 or 9, okay, he wrote that book. And I'm just happy that Hawaiians now, even though everybody bickering back and forth, okay, I can feel that tension. I know you guys can feel the tension. But for me, when they was trying to take back Kamohoali'i, we were in meetings all around the island to all these different people, and you know the names of the people who was there, who was fighting over Kamohoali'i. But what I seen all the time is nobody knew what to do with Kamohoali'i. And I heard this as a 15-year-old kid now, and I was learning that, wow, they're trying to take back the land so bad and stop the bombing that the military did. But they're all arguing over what they're going to do with them. So with everybody putting in what they're talking about today, right now, what I'm watching, okay, I'm only here because my wife is a leasee. I don't qualify, but I always was Hawaiian. Okay, I come from one Hawaiian family. My grandmother is Beatrice Parker, who had my uncle, okay? I'm not too smart, but I know the Queen made us be Christians for a reason. We cannot take everything with us when we die, but I just wanted to put a little bit of happiness and knowledge into that, because this was 50 years ago. And we're still fighting over the same stuff, the land. To me, it's like one generational curse, because you get some who have and some who don't, you know. And I cannot, I cannot, unless it's up to my wife. My uncle and my dad, they could, they never did fill out the paperwork. My uncle lived by Bumpy in Waimanalo, and he had state leases. But I just found out from Mike, when you get one Hawaiian Homes land, you're only gonna pay a certain amount of tax to our government. And I get friends, I'm a builder, I build things. And I get friends who pay $7,000 to $9,000 in land tax for certain businesses that they have. So I think it's a beautiful thing having Hawaiian land. I'd just like to congratulate all you Hawaiians, because there is love around in Hawaiians. We loving people. But still yet, the same arguments I've seen. And I was with all the leaders of that movement. I was traveling around the island. I would have went to Kamohoali'i. My dad said he'd kill my father if he take me to Kamohoali'i. So we went up Pohakuloa and blocked the gates all day. If any of you was there, I would like to talk to you. And we ended up blocking off the dates. They left us there all day. They finally said the colonel ain't coming and you guys are not gonna be able to talk to him. My cousin, Brad Parker, then was going to Kamohoali'i. I think that was the second landing. And it's pretty interesting stuff, but I'm just happy to see that people have knowledge and can talk about it and have their opinions. Because I've seen it when I was a small kid. And I was like, this is amazing, even though we don't know what to do with it. So to me, there's a lot of love here. And thank you for your knowledge. And keep going. I just wanted to calm down a little bit, because there is love in Hawaiians. We get so much love we was born with. That's why I get the word aloha. Okay? Thank you very much.
Thank you. Uncle.
Okay.
My name is Herman Kalani Elderts, and I just want to share my mana'o. And here, sitting here and listening to all these people talking, and the first people that was talking over there, okay, my understanding is they're here trying to find a way to help the people that are on the waiting list, and so is this gentleman here. They're not competing against each other, they never have, because they're doing the same thing. They're trying to help us. That's what they're trying to do, and that's why they're here. And this is my understanding. That's why I'm just sharing it with everybody. They're not trying to compete against each other. You know, they have the same purpose. They want to help, and that's why they're here. But they have their own plan. They have a plan of they're doing things, and they have a plan of doing their things too. And I agree with them, whatever they're doing over there at Waimea, okay? Because, okay, they trying to help the Hawaiians do something, make something of themselves. And that's all we have to do, make something of ourselves. And it takes a lot to do that. But see, the Hawaiians, united you stand, divided you fall. It's always been that way, and it's always going to be that way. I don't care what you say. And for myself, if you're Hawaiian, you're going to be related to me.
Thank you. Thank you, Uncle. I want to give a last chance opportunity if there are any other more clarifying questions that the community may want to ask or any further mana'o. Okay, we have one right here and one right there. Okay, so I'm gonna come. Jenna's gonna bring you the mic this side, and then we'll come back around to you on this side. Is that okay? Where? Right there. Please go ahead.
Aloha o kawau ko'uino.
Aloha.
I just have a comment, and I totally understand that these presentations, they're here to help us and help us further understand what's being proposed here, and I mahalo for everything that's been said tonight. More than anything, I think as a Kanaka who doesn't meet the blood quantum, I don't know if I'll ever be able to so-called own in Ko Hawaii Pai Āina. What stands out to me the most in this is the spiritual aspect. And I know that we suffer so much and we come from a place of scarcity sometimes when we want to make certain decisions. The part that stood out to me was the ecotourism aspect. I tried to imagine myself as an opio who's, trying to find a career, and for it to be said that a native Hawaiian operated ecotourism situation where I have to imagine myself or to take tourists up to the Mauna for horseback riding, or these so-called activities that are proposed within the regenerative economy. I don't know, I think I would get whacked by my kupuna if I had to imagine it or participate in that. So that's just my only comment, is the spiritual aspect. Mahalo.
Thank you so much. And then question this side. Yeah, mahalo.
Aloha, and
Aloha.
mahalo for allowing me to speak. I am not a Koko, born and raised, and as I was listening to this, I came with not sure what was going to be said. So thus I wanted to come just hear for myself, so it's not like like hearsay. As I was listening to the presentations and the comments, I thought, wow, actually this was not what I thought it was going to be. That both presentations actually sounds pono. It's what should really be done, yeah? Like how you were saying, that it should be both accepted. Now, I know the process of the agency, the department, is really what holds things up. So the mana I wanted to share, the ike I wanted to share from being in these presentations is that I wanted to make sure that you all are aware, as you're talking about, sorry, back to anybody. about the housing. So when you said like to get the people on the wait list, their housing, and however you do it, I thought, wow, that's awesome. And like the auntie had mentioned about how long the process is going to take if it goes by, through the department and everything. And then there were so many things like rearranging what I was going to say, but all in all to say that, yes, that is what needs to be done. Yes, that is the process that's been holding up for over, like all this time. And thus, I wanted to say that, did you know that the agency called HCDA, Hawaii Community Development Authority, they have no problem. Like, how is it that this state entity created by the legislature for the fake state of Hawaii, that they can just propose and, market a development before it's built, and all the ike that was shared for Waimea, I was like, wow, this kind of stuff, yes, we all know, it needs to be shared with all these agencies so that Kanaka can have land, not only in this designated homeland, but all Hawaii. So all in all to say that the HCDA, we just spoke up the other day about this Kaulu development. This is like the latest one from Gentry. I'm from Honouliuli area in Oahu, and their idea of affordable in this housing project, which is only like 10% or so, or 10 or 20%, is 600,000 plus. And then me and others, we spoke up, just a few of us, and we're like, you got to read the room. That is not, if you think that's affordable for locals, and we were speaking, of course, for Kanaka, that this is what's driving the people, like out of Hawaii. And I just found out a brother that just left. And so we were stopping it with a contested case. I'm right now in a contested case to stop the Kalailoa development plan, because it's not including
Let's try to bring it back to...
Okay, because I'll bring it back. So why am I saying this? Because this agency is not only for Oahu, they have many bills in this legislative session, and you guys got to really watch SB 2001. That's the one that stayed alive. And why am I saying this? Because it has to do with you all, beneficiaries. So there were Kanaka that wanted, for the Waiakea Development District, for that one, that they wanted lineal descendants, Kanaka, on that board. And that HCD agency worded it so that, no, we have just Kanaka on advisory boards with no, teeth, no voting power. So you have to kind of really watch that. And bringing it back to this is that what will affect you all, wherever the land is that I watched the HB 1307 meeting regarding geothermal on Hawaiian homestead land, on Koa Kia'i, on Molokai, on Kauai, on Maui, even in Oahu, they're going to do geothermal. Now, they're going to try to push that this new geothermal is not harmful to your health. But Tita there, she was at the December 8th meeting of the Clean Air Branch to not allow the Department of Health to re-administer the permit to PGV because they are gassing the people in that area for over 40, 50 decades. And I have to say this because in that process, which was March 24th, which affects you all, that's why I just want to bring this to you all, because there's so many things you got to pay attention to, yeah? In that meeting was Kali Watson of the DHHL and Makai Freitas, and they were both talking to the legislator. I watched and I rewatched and I rewatched and I rewatched that meeting. At the beginning of the meeting, Dana Keawe, she testified regarding that there was no beneficiary consultation for geothermal. Then I testified, of what the meeting we went to and to stop this geothermal because of the health effects. It's the air you breathe as well, and they're going to use water to do this as well.
Okay,
yeah?
Auntie, wait.
Can I just
we got to
finish?
come back to this, though.
But can I finish? It's part of this. So
I hope so.
yeah, it's part of this.
Okay.
So when they were talking about, Glenn Wakai asked, so the testifier was incorrect in saying that there was no beneficiary consultation. he said, yes, there was an NREL group that came and we spoke with some beneficiaries, so they counted as that. Then later on, Samantha DeCourt asked, so there is no beneficiary consultation. Then they literally said, no, there has not been any beneficiary consultation. We're going to have meetings in April, this month, May, and June. But yet he also said that these meetings are too early in the process of geothermal discussions, so they're not technical, full beneficiary consultation meetings. They are just going to be informational sessions. So I want you all to be aware that if you go to this April, May, and June informational sessions, that's not considered full consultation, because he actually said himself, not Kaliwats and the other guy, I think it was Micah, he said, these are not full beneficiary consultations because we don't need to have them at this process. However, later on, Kali Watson said, if you all the beneficiaries say no to geothermal, they're not gonna build it. But then Makai came in and said that if you do, wait, just one sec. But so I just want you to know that you be aware that, and be aware, so watch HB 1307, that if you go to these consultation meetings, you have to get in the process now, because by the time it goes to there, it's going to be too late. And they said they want to find out what information is going to be found on your guys' land. So if you don't do it now, that information is going to be property of the state, and they're going to use it just to poke holes wherever, that they want to. So it's, tied into this. Mahalo.
Yeah, not tied into this at all. That's okay. Thank you for your comments. I appreciate that. It was a good PSA for everybody regarding geothermal and geothermal development. And, I do a lot of work in the Hawaiian community for a lot of the Hawaiian organizations. And I will say one thing that Hawaiian Homelands does very often is beneficiary consultation. They actually do spend a lot of time comparative to other Hawaiian organizations in the community listening to you. So, to that point, this consultation comment period goes all the way to May 1, 2026. You can email dhhl.planning@hawaii.gov. Comment cards were passed out today. If you still need one, where's Jenna? Jenna's gonna be at the front. She has more comment cards. I encourage every person who came here, if you're interested in this type of land disposition, please scan this QR code, please take this survey, please provide the information to the department so that we can hear from you. And then I just want to extend my personal gratitude to all of you for staying through to 9 o'clock this evening on a Thursday night. I thank you for coming here. I want everybody to drive home safely. Please, 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 check that yellow cooler on your way out and take a water with you so I don't gotta take it back with me. Mahalo nui, everybody. Drive home safely.
Thank you for coming.
I would have cut her line too.